So today I thought it would be fun to color grade some footage that I've shot with various cameras over the years and show you how you can make basically any camera look more, dare I say it, cinematic with color grading. And one specific plugin that we're going to be using within this tutorial is FilmConvert Nitrate, which is also the sponsor of this video. So if you'd like to get 10% off of FilmConvert Nitrate, use the code NigelBarros at checkout and you'll get 10% off the plugin. And honestly, it is my favorite color grading plugin, and I really think that it makes color grading a much easier task, especially for people who are just starting out. So if you remember a few years ago, I did a video on FilmConvert about how I reshot a scene from Moonrise Kingdom with my little brother. And that was probably one of my favorite videos that I've ever shot. Not because it's the best video ever, but just because I made it with my brother and I thought it was a lot of fun. But that is kind of creating a very stylized and specific look. In today's video, I kind of want to show you how you can use FilmConvert Nitrate in a more subtle way. There are certain ways that I use FilmConvert to get my color grade just where I want it without making it super stylized. And I'm also going to give you a couple of tips and tricks on how you can make your footage look a little bit more like it was shot with a film camera as well. But one of the coolest things about FilmConvert Nitrate is regardless of what camera you have, you can download a camera pack and make FilmConvert Nitrate work perfectly with your camera. So if you have a 6300 or if you have an 80D or a 90D or whatever camera, FilmConvert will work perfectly with whatever footage you have. But having said that, I do want to really quickly talk about acquisition. I've talked about this before, but I feel like getting the best footage that you possibly can in camera is the best way to go. I don't think that any type of color grading, regardless of what plugin or technique you use, is going to fix bad footage. It's not like a band-aid that you can just slap on poorly shot footage and make it look good. So always remember, expose your stuff right, make sure that your white balance is set correctly, and that's just going to make your color grading process so much easier. So let's jump in and start color grading. I'm going to be doing it in Adobe Premiere Pro, but FilmConvert Nitrate is available for Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve. So as I said, I just kind of wanted to show you how quick and easy it is to grade using FilmConvert Nitrate. I'm going to be using a bunch of different cameras and footage that I had shot in the past. So the cameras that I used were the Blackmagic Pocket Original, my trusty Panasonic GH3, the Panasonic S5, and the Canon 80D. So it's a big range of cameras, all with different sensor sizes and color profiles. So I'm just going to show you just how easy it is to grade this footage in FilmConvert Nitrate. And then I'll show you some footage that I shot a lot more recently with my Olympus EM1 Mark II. Okay, so here we have some of our footage, and the first thing that we're going to do is take FilmConvert Nitrate, drag it and drop it. And what you're gonna have to do first is make sure that FilmConvert knows what camera you shot it on. So you just go right here to choose camera. This was shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and it was shot in the film profile. And then instantly you're gonna see that changes the color so that it works for that camera. And for this, I think I'm actually gonna go with Fujicolor Pro 160S. So that's gonna change it a little bit like that. I kind of like how that looks. Instantly, it's gonna have, by default, 35mm full frame. For really quick edits and ones that you don't want too stylized, you can just drag the grain down all the way down to 0. But the cool thing is that FilmConvert actually has 6K film grain scans. So they actually look really good. I'm just gonna keep it off for right now. And what's really cool is you can go into the color tab, do a bunch of color grading within this too. So right here, you'll see the film color and the Selyem print film. This is going to affect the exposure and contrast a lot, and this is going to affect mostly the color. So you can mess around with these. If you go up and look at it before and after, I actually think that's a really quick and easy way to get a really nice looking grade on your Blackmagic footage, which can be pretty tricky to color grade, especially for beginners. Now, this next shot here was shot on the Panasonic S5. It's my wife walking in the woods, and this was shot in Vlog. So this looks a little rough right now, but just give me a second. I'm going to go and actually choose Kodak Portra 400. Then what you can do is go here right to the levels, and you can kind of mess around with the levels, bring them down to a more appropriate spot. Bring that down a little bit. And again, you can mess with your curves and do a really simple S curve. So you can go from the before, after, and that is just a night and day difference, and it's so easy to do. But what's really cool is that it works just as well on non-log footage, some 8-bit stuff. So I'm gonna mess with this footage that I shot of my wife in Craters of the Moon over in Idaho, and this was shot on my Panasonic GH3. So for this one, I think I'm gonna go with Fuji Superia Extra 400. I really like how that looks. I'm gonna take down the film chroma a little bit and maybe the film luma. Then I'm gonna go here, mess around with my levels. Sometimes I like to bring the markers just to where level starts to come in. And then I'm actually gonna start doing a little bit with my curves here. I think I'm gonna take the highlights up a little bit to just emphasize all of this here in the background. What else you can do is you can take down your shadows and your midtones on these sliders here. And you can always do the trick where you pull the shadows into the blues a little bit and then push the highlights up into the orange. And that took our footage from this to this really, really simply. And I actually really like how that looks. So for this last shot, we're going to use this shot of my friend Brittany, and this was shot on the Canon 80D. So for this, I think we're just going to use the Kodak Vision 3 5207. I really like this profile. I'm going to bring up the brightness just so you can really see her face. Maybe add a little bit of warmth to this. And I am going to mess with my curves again, just because I like to do a simple, bring up the highlights ever so slightly. Then you can bring a little bit of blue back into the shadows, a little bit of orange into the highlights. Temperature up just a little bit, because this was a nice warm summer day. So again, this is just a really easy and effective way to get a nice look to your image really quickly. Now for this little sequence, I kind of wanted to make it look a little bit like a Super 16 or Super 8 video. So I kind of wanted it to look a little old and vintage. And I did the typical 4x3 square framing on this. A lot of the old skate videos that I used to watch had, you know, like old Super 8 or Super 16 footage thrown in there. So I kind of wanted to emulate that vibe. So I shot tripod most of the time, but when I did shoot fisheye with my little Osmo Action, I shot it in this configuration. So one of the things that I really do like about FilmConvert is that the film grain actually looks really good. You can add Super 16, Super 35, Super 8 film grain on to your footage, and just to give it that little bit more of a vintage vibe, which I really like. So I'm not going to do much to this. I'll just kind of show you in real time what my color grading process for this little sequence was. So here we are in Premiere Pro, and before I add FilmConvert Nitrate, I'm going to do a couple of things before I start grading. One thing that I wanted to do was to just do a little zoom out. So I'm going to go up here to my position. At the beginning, I'm just going to put it into like 120, and then at the end, I'll just have it zoom all the way out. And then I'll ease that out. Boom. So now we have a nice little zoom out. So the next thing I'm going to do is just add my crop markers to do more of a square crop. Then I'm going to go here, grab FilmConvert Nitrate, and just lay it on to this footage. This was shot on the Olympus EM1 Mark II, and it was shot in flat. Right there, it's going to change all the colors so that it works with the flat footage that I shot. And I know that I want to have the Fujichrome Astio 100F, and then I'm going to just adjust the chroma just a little bit, because sometimes it can take a little bit of the blue away from the sky. I'm going to add a little bit of warmth in there because I want this to kind of be like a sunny Texas vibes. Instead of 35mm full frame, I'm going to go to Super 16, and as you can see here, by default it does soften it a little bit. I don't want it too soft, so I'm going to put it down to like 10. Then what I always do is I always just kind of drag at my level markers so that where level starts coming in, the lows and the highs are actually hitting. So look at what it looked like before. This is after. And that's literally all I have to do. So yeah, that's how I use FilmConvert Nitrate in my color grading process. And honestly, I've been using this for the last 2 years, and I use it on every single video, and I really cannot recommend it enough. So if you'd like to get the FilmConvert Nitrate plugin for your editing software, definitely go to the link in the description below. Click that link, use the code NigelBarros to get yourself 10% off your purchase. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, it'd be really cool if you hit the like button. And if you'd like to watch some more of my videos, you can click on either side of my face. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Later.